Welcome to the Higher Love with Megan podcast with me, your host, Megan Cooper, a holistic coach and trauma-informed practitioner. This podcast seeks to break out of the echo chamber of societal narratives that perpetuate our institutions and challenge the status quo of wellness and beyond. Join me as we decolonize our minds, address and use our privilege, and prioritize inclusivity. Here, diverse experiences are honoured, and together we are fostering a space that stands for higher love for all. As a listener, you are not just here to passively consume. You're an ambassador for deep healing and societal evolutions, ready to engage in thought-provoking, challenging conversations. As your host, I'm committed to providing ever-expansive spaces that inspire us to contribute to a world defined by higher love. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Hey team, get cozy, because today I'm interrupting the normal order of service. It's just me in the hot seat, in my leopard print office chair, actually. I want to dive into a question that has been circulating my mind for many a month. How can we be well in an unwell world? There is so much that is packed into this. What does it take for us to be well? What does it take from us to be well? And what does it actually mean to be well anymore? Before we go any further, I want to acknowledge that we all have varying capacities based on our individualized set of circumstances. I am sharing ideas as always, not from a place of blame or shame, but from a place of curiosity as to how we, yes, we, us, together, may move forward as a collective. We need a new definition of being well, amended for the times through which we are living. I used to think that being well was being of sound mind, body, and soul. On the surface, that looked like meditating, doing my journaling, drinking my green juice, eating my whole foods. Tick, 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 wellness boxes checked. I still think that these things are important. We have to oil the machine. But given the interconnected crises that we are facing, pressures on all corners of society, climate crisis, marginalization, violence, social division, oppression, being well demands more of us. We live in a top-down capitalist society built on democracy. Yet, you need only look at the statistics on mental health, chronic illness, and people on long-term sick leave to ascertain that collectively we are not well. Our social structures are not actually orientated towards being well. In a recent episode, Reclaiming Your Life from Toxic Productivity, Tamu Thomas spoke about the systemic nature of burnout. Even though we think that we're burnt out from factors in our own individual lives, when something affects people en masse, it's not individual, it's systemic. As Lita May Davwan said in an earlier episode, people don't burn out. Systems burn people out. Most people don't start self-development because their life is plain sailing. It comes from burnout, from breakdowns, addiction, suffering, and crisis. A therapist once said to me, when you or your life is out of alignment, you should feel anxious. Why wouldn't you? It's your bodily signals. So if we're living in a system which is out of alignment with humanity, shouldn't we all be unwell? So what does it take from us to be well within an unwell world? What parts of ourselves have we had to sever off or suppress? What do we have to disengage from in order to uphold the status quo? Enter the concept of soul loss. Leah Kim, host of Voices on the Side podcast, introduced me to this idea in our episode, How White Supremacy Harms Us All. She described how white supremacy harms everyone in different ways in correlation to the marginalization of their identity. Yet even those who benefit from it don't escape unharmed. Maintaining oppression, remaining blind that our privilege thrives at the expense of another comes at a cost. an energetic disconnect from our shared humanity. We choose comfort over discomfort, a false sense of security over solidarity, and in doing so, we lose touch with the delicate human parts of ourselves. It is not normal to be disconnected from the earth. It is not normal to be disconnected from our bodies or from our emotions. It is not normal to be disconnected from one another. And so, I come to a somewhat ironic conclusion. Becoming unwell in an unwell world might actually be the healthiest turning point in our well-being. Have I gone mad? Asked the Mad Hatter. I'm afraid so, said Alice in Wonderland. You're entirely bonkers. But I'll tell you a secret. All the best people are. My new definition of being well reminds me too of a passage by Alan Watts on falling in love. It's resonant in my mind because we actually had it read at our wedding ceremony. As he outlines, we say that love is crazy because it goes back to the fundamental principle that it is a high-risk maneuver. We hand ourselves over to somebody else with total surrender. And of course, as he says, all sensible people keep things in control. However, as he also describes, risk is the condition of there being life, and all life is an act of faith. This includes every step we take every day because we can't be 100% sure that the ground is not going to give way beneath our feet. Love is mad because control is sensible. But since all life is an act of faith, as he says, what is really sensible is to let go and to commit oneself. And that's quite mad. So we come to this strange conclusion that in madness lies sanity. So now that we've established that being well in our world is unwell, and finding yourself questioning your relationship to wellness is in fact well, where do we actually go from here? I'm going to focus on three key areas. 1. Deconditioning and unlearning. This is big work. We need to deeply question the beliefs we've inherited and actively disengage from conditioning. Capitalist society equates our worth with productivity. We've been conditioned to earn rest, to prioritize doing over being, what we do over who we are. We've been conditioned to receive validation and love in exchange with how we perform and what we output. As adults, many of us still crave our equivalent of those gold star stickers. Look how excited it makes me. Unlearning from systems and narratives which dominate our lives at the expense of our well-being is deep and ongoing work. It means rewiring our nervous system to feel safe in stillness, to find value outside of hustle culture, and to trust that we are enough just being. It also means reclaiming what we've been told is frivolous. Joy, pleasure, play, silliness, creativity, and everything in between. It is in these pursuits we rediscover our humanity, where imposed measures of worth and productivity cannot enter. It is where we take back our birthright from imperial systems. And hey, nothing is more threatening to the status quo than a mass population armed with hope, imagination, and vision. We don't have to let go of everything, but we do need to ask, where did this belief come from? Who gave it to me and why? Is it still relevant? In a recent episode with Viv Grant, Viv spoke about her identity as a strong Black woman, which she inherited from her mother, who was part of the Windrush generation. Viv's mother had to be strong to survive. But later, through her own experiences, Viv realized that this identity came at a cost of asking for and receiving help. Reclaiming her power meant integrating strength with vulnerability, allowing Viv not only to survive, but also to thrive. Common societal narratives are not necessarily normal. They're just deeply entrenched. The mind and body were always seen as one. until they were separated by the church, who sanctified autopsies and the cutting up of bodies to explore anatomy on the pretext that it did not extend to psychology, since the landscape of the mind was owned by religion. Our indigenous ancestors never saw themselves as separate from the earth until imperialist culture turned land into a resource to be pillaged, owned, and consumed for gain and for progress. In all these things, we have to decondition, decolonize, and unlearn. So, how do we unlearn? Get curious about the origins of our beliefs. Learn to sit with discomfort instead of rushing to fix ourselves to fit back into a broken system. Unlearn in community, where we re envision what is possible and remember our inherent worth. Rest, reclaim, and resist, a la Trisha Hersey of the Nap Ministry. Have the curiosity and the humility to ask more questions than we answer. 2. Individual versus collective healing. Capitalism conditions us towards individualized pursuit. The wellness industry, born in the same system, focuses on you, your habits, your mindset, your trauma. Kerry Jarvis, with whom I recorded the episode Disrupting the Wellness Industry, shared, "There is no such thing as personal development anymore. There is only interpersonal development." We are all interconnected, which I don't say in some wishy-washy way that has circulated enough yoga rooms to lose meaning, but instead this: if we are to be well, to be fully well, we have to advocate for better for all. I used to think that wellness was separate from politics and socioeconomics. Watching the news and staying up to date with current affairs was low vibrational, and I needed to keep my frequency high in order to usher in the new earth. Now I see this as a lovely bit of privilege with a sprinkling of spiritual bypassing on top. Spoiler alert, folks, wellness is political. What if ushering in the new earth is actually about people being rocked to the core by how not okay our world has become and by being moved into action as a result? We are meant to be moved by suffering. We are meant to be mortified at brutality. We are meant to be galvanized into action by injustice. Gone is the time for, "Oh, that's nice. Yes, I will buy that ice bath," and not consider our contribution to community care and collective well-being. We heal in community. We thrive in community. One of the weapons of capitalism is disconnection. One of the tools of empire is to divide and conquer. Being well isn't about how may I be well, it's about how may we be well. When we shift the conversation, we are starting to heal already. So, how do we support collective healing? Recognize that wellness isn't just self-work, but also community and justice work. Learn to expand your individual capacity for discomfort, both within yourself and for social structures. Ascertain the part that we play in the greater systems which affect all humans. Question what you stand for as well as what you stand against. And get curious with what inclusive, accessible, diverse spaces you are fostering. 3. Being in right relationship with self, with others, and the world. In our recent podcast episode, Viv Grant said it perfectly. We have to be in right relationship with ourselves, right relationship with others, and right relationship with society. But it starts with self. If we can't face our shadows, then actually the wounds in society will be perpetuated. The way society is right now is because the wounds that people have not sought to heal within themselves are projected outwards. If we don't integrate our own wounds, wider society's wounds will keep repeating. The system is not something separate from us. The system is the summation of us. The system is us. Trauma and pain is on a continuum to which none of us are immune. We live in a world of systemic intergenerational trauma. We have to be prepared to go deep, to get radically honest, and to meet the edges of our own pain to meet the truth of who we are. As Gabor Mate teaches, trauma is not what happened to you, it's the wound that was created inside of you. In other words, it's how we became disconnected from the truth of who we are, from our true selves, how that continues to shape who we are in the world, and how we act. Fritzi Horseman of Compassion Prison Project cites how easily we point fingers at other people's wrongs, when always the invitation is to attend to ourselves. People who break societal expectations or values are the people who were most othered by the system. Yet we all contain these stories of not enoughness. We all hold these stories of unworthiness and not belonging, and the corresponding emotions of sadness, of grief, of anger, of loneliness. In attending to our own wounds, we lighten the societal load. The more at home we feel within ourselves, the more we come into right relationship with our actions, no longer using our interactions to feed unmet needs within ourselves. We increase our emotional capacity to have one foot firmly rooted in the here and now, in the stark reality of these times, and increase too our creative capacity to reimagine, with the other foot planted in the vision that we hold for a new collective possibility. With one foot in both camps, with roots in both, we bring forth a tree of possibility to bear the fruits of collective liberation. And who doesn't like a forest? Being in right relationship with self means that we can be in right relationship with others and right relationship with the world. And that's where collective healing and collective liberation begins. How can you be in right relationship with self? Hold space for your pain and shadows, perhaps with therapeutic support if necessary. Enter into group healing spaces because ultimately we heal in community. View your personal healing as a part of collective healing and vice versa. Take responsibility for the energy that you bring into your relationships and interactions. Continue to show up more authentically to give others permission to do the same so that we can practice being more human together. In conclusion, over coffee yesterday morning, my husband read me a text by British filmmaker Adam Curtis about hypernormalization, a term coined by historian Alexei Yurchak in the latter years of the Soviet Union. He writes, in the 80s, everyone from the top to the bottom of Soviet society knew that it wasn't working, knew that it was corrupt, that the bosses were looting the system, that the politicians had no alternative vision. And they knew that the bosses knew that they knew that. Everyone knew that it was fake, but because no one had any alternative vision for a different kind of society, they just accepted this total fakeness as normal. There is a similar feeling in our present day. Everyone in my country and in America and throughout Europe knows that the system that they are living under isn't working as it is supposed to, that there is a lot of corruption at the top. But whenever the journalists point it out, everyone goes, wow, that's terrible. And then nothing happens and the system remains the same. Being well means a refusal to stay the same. It means reclaiming our soul. It means understanding our interconnection. It means knowing that we're not truly free until all are free. It means pointing at injustice and saying, wow, that's terrible, and then doing something about it. It means creating an alternate vision for a different kind of society and way of life. It means remembering and reimagining together. Little more than just taking an ice bath, doing a vinyasa, and rubbing on some magnesium oil, hey? So here's your call to action, troops. What's one small way that you can step towards being well that impacts you, others, and the collective. Until next time, go forth, be well, and maybe get that ice bath if you really want to.
Thank you for listening. It's great to have you with me on this journey towards higher love for all. Our time is our greatest commodity and gift, so thanks for investing it in yourself and sharing it with me. Please do take a moment to rate and review the show, all of which enables more people to find me and for me to connect with more great guests each week for both yours and my enjoyment. All links, references, and contact information is detailed too within the show notes. And I always love to hear your feedback, so feel free to hit me up on my Instagram at higherlove_with_Megan or via my website, higher-love.com. Send your takeaways, and if you enjoyed this episode, please share or send on to someone else who would benefit. Until next time, big love.